You ready, Fipes?
You.
Yeah.
Alright, so, continuing where we left off with Olivine meeting up with Luan in his room to discuss a handful of topics that he had in mind regarding unsegment.
Hamla.
Luan, what do you do?
Let's see. Dig up my thing because I realized I was in the wrong freaking sheet. There we go. Well, actually, there was a reason why I wanted to talk to you a bit more. I was planning to bring this topic up at Tosis Church, but you and Priestess Nefertank are really the only two that I think I can trust with this information, outside of the blades.
She's kind of like raised an eyebrow at that.
You see, there's an echo amongst us. Or that's what I, at least, have deduced so far. I'm lacking information.
Olivine kind of gives you a look. I think you're gonna need to elaborate on that a bit more.
What? Don't you know what an echo is?
Well, yes, but I've seen no such thing.
Well, you know of Ankh-Sekhmet, yes?
Yes.
Well, she's somewhat stricken my eye recently, and not in the good way. First of all, she's, well, more or less inured to death and gore and whatnot. Which, fair enough. That being...
Olivine kind of crosses their arms. Is that so?
Yes.
I've admittedly have not seen much of Unsegmet fight.
Let me put it this way. We faced off against Aframader's paladin. Many people would flinch. Most would go into panic when fighting something that intimidating, to put it that way. That woman did not flinch. We also killed 12 chronomancers. She did not flinch at that either. No matter the situations, she would not be affected, more or less.
So she appears to be perpetually inflammable, is what you're saying?
Yes. Kind of reminds me of you, really.
She kind of gives a small shrug at that. Well, that's a result of training on my part. We have to be.
Yes. However, Ankh-Sekhmet, she's no trained Dimdoria agent. She's no blade agent. She's not a trained member of any sort of organization. In fact, she was just picked up by Lady Nefertank. So that got me thinking, why is she so inflammable?
Olivine brings a hand to her chin. You know, in hindsight, that is a very good question.
Well, lucky you. For I may have struck onto something. Look at this. He takes out his link stone, and from that link stone, he digs up the message that he sent to Quinn. Look at that.
So you essentially relay it to Olivine, and she's like, "This is very interesting. So you're reasonably confident that this is the same individual?"
Approximately 95%. I'm still waiting a response from Vulture. But
well,
before
judging by what you requested, that might be a lot to shuffle through. She just kind of gives you like a knowing smile at that. Meanwhile, Quinn in the background, like, going through paperwork.
So, yeah, admittedly, I do feel a little bad for him having to dig through all those archives, but this takes precedence. However,
Apparently.
I am very confident And not only that, she's clearly been in... Or, wait. Well, it's not just the way she looks or how she acts. There are other signs too.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay. And then pausing.
Alright? Yeah. I only remember that the facility that her face was associated with was one of CO3. Of course, an Aether-tuning laboratory.
She like pauses. Wait. See. As
Yes.
in Liam Solas?
Likely. We never found out because the Blades actually investigated this ages ago. But, well, Thavma got there and tracked us. Killed off the entire squad. And of course...
Save for the one
closed it.
researcher
Yes,
who preserved the data of what he could.
thankfully. Without them, I doubt we could have even gotten this much. The fact that this is a Cleve Solas AAL makes me think, what the hell could they have been developing there? Because Ankhsekhmet does not age. And we met another Sun Elf at the Thieves Guild. That was her mother. This can't be a coincidence.
Alvine pauses for a moment, looking kind of deep in thought. Well, the only real logical conclusion here is that when you all went to the AAL and essentially opened into the place, she kind of like gives you a curious look. Are you absolutely certain that it was Thavma that attacked your agents?
I think Ashi could vouch for that based on her retrocognition.
No. I mean, like, what happened in that facility?
Yeah, because
As in, what killed them?
Oh, derp.
Because that
I
was
misunderstood.
that was 7 centuries ago.
Yeah, this is a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
And in a different place.
Yep.
Yeah, my
Lorne
bad.
crosses his arms. That's the thing. I've only heard hearsay and reports. This was 7 centuries ago, Olivine.
Well, you know from the report that you've seen when Quinn was like reviewing it a while back, that the researcher that got away didn't necessarily see anything so much as he got a message from those within for him to effectively abort and run back with what they have. And the assumption there was that Thavma had encountered them, which is effectively what was mentioned, though it wouldn't say in particularly what exactly. Only that they were effectively in danger of losing what they have. So essentially, standard protocol, the team is effectively being wiped out, so take what we have and run. But you notice that there was no particular mention of Thavma, but that was the assumption because effectively they were ambushed from behind. Well, there's only one way behind you, and that's out of the facility.
Because on the very same day of the facility was discovered, the TAS ambushed the agents on site in the facility. But that's the assumption then.
Yeah, based off of the emergency, essentially, message to, the researchers up top.
Well, the report
And
did
one
say...
was essentially collecting more of the data and coming back, they were caught and killed. So, which is why there's only one of the two that went and returned.
Okay.
But whatever killed the rest of the agents killed the researcher too.
Well, the thing is that it was put in the report that it was the TAS that assaulted the team. But that doesn't quite check out now that I'm thinking about it. There's not really any conclusive evidence towards that.
Alright then comments at it. If we go off of what we know, which is Sekhmet does not age, and neither does her mother, it would not be unreasonable to suspect that those trapped within the AAL would no longer be trapped once the AAL was broken into and opened. And if that were the case, they could then seize the opportunity to escape, which would be going through your team.
That's what it seems like, yes. I would love to be a fly on the wall right there to know what exactly transpired, but thus that is something that I cannot do.
Because the only way out of the facility would be the means of which your team had gone in with. Because, as always, you close the door behind you when going in places you're not supposed to be. It just kind of gives a faint grin at that. Which would then mean that key cards to access would have been on your personnel. So the only way to get that in their key to freedom would be to kill your team and take it from them. Which would explain how she's here and not down there. Other than that, it would be to, well, them having released them, but if I'm not mistaken, that would not have been part of protocol, as protocol, from what I understand, of the Blades, when traveling into a facility of that degree or any particular location that's, well, the unknown, is to eliminate anything you encounter, precisely because you do not know what it is or what it can do. Well, I imagine that these Sun Elves would fall under that category. Because if you go into a facility that's been closed off for 1,500 years and you find survivors, that's not natural.
Yes, of course it's not. Regarding her, I don't know how she was killed or why. But it's clear that she's died. She knows too much about the AALs. She also, well, as mentioned, she does not age. And she has a manifestation weapon as well. Similar to what Bella and Lady Nefertank have.
Yeah, but you know that her manifestation's not her soul. It's her sibling's soul.
Yeah. But here's the kicker. It's not her manifestation. I identified the weapon under the pretense that I wanted to inspect it externally. It's her dead twin sisters.
Wait. Are you saying that Sekhmet is not Sekhmet, but was the echo that had taken over?
Luan just kind of like walks to the table and just sits down. Now do you see why I wanted to talk to you, and specifically you, about this?
She just kind of offers a wry smile. This is a rather volatile subject, to say the least.
Which is why neither of us are not to mention a peep about this until we get to Tossi's church, outside of this room, that is.
Suffice to say, that's probably in the best interest.
We don't know enough. Lady Nefertank knows. And there is also the fact that how did she take over? Well, not so much how did she take over, but how did she acclimate? That's not how echoes work.
And the fact that her soul, or the soul of her twin sister, has been manifested, that implies consciousness.
Yes.
Normally, when an echo takes over, they crush the consciousness of their host. Well, this would then not be possible if that were the case. So, this makes her an anomaly even amongst echoes that take over their host.
I've heard of exactly one similar case before, and that was not exactly a simple nut to crack. Makes me wonder what else is hidden under her surface.
Oh, another thing you recall that you hadn't mentioned is that she knew the Aether attunement process.
Yeah. So, also, once, well, she seemed truly anxious and even, well, in a word, she had PTSD from AALs. That is understandable. But she knew a lot about the Aether attunement process. She knew the exact duration that an Aether attunement chamber process would, or Aether attunement chamber assimilation process would last.
She pauses that. Wait. That implies intimate knowledge.
Precisely.
She then crosses her arms. That's curious, because if she were merely a test subject, she would not need to have gone through the attunement process, as she would have already been an Aether soul, based off of how we've come to understand that the Elpidivinos do their test subjects, which is direct descendants. So,
yes. Strictly speaking, well, the females are used as, well, breeding subjects. The males used to inseminate them. But they don't, as you said, they aren't put into the actual chambers, since they would normally already have the capability to breed Aether-attuned children. So that's another contradiction.
They would only need to attune new test subjects brought in from the outside, so to speak. So that implies that Sekhmet would not have gone through this process, yet she knew how it works.
Wait, so...
In other words, how did she know that?
Yeah, but could she have just been brought in from the outside and then attuned to it?
No, because of her mother.
Oh, right.
Her mother was also a test subject.
Right, yeah.
Judging by the fact that she's ageless. That means that the only way on Sekhmet is that she was born there.
Yeah, born in... Okay, yeah, never mind. Right, Hatshepsut. That name doesn't ring a bell for you, does it, Olivine?
I know vaguely of who that is.
You do?
She gives a nod. I do believe that she is the quartermaster of the Thieves Guild of this area.
Well, here's another curious tidbit for you.
I only know that much based off of the briefing that Catherine and I received coming out here.
So she was a person of interest then?
Yes. Though I don't know details beyond that.
Well, here's another interesting tidbit for you. She joined the Thieves Guild roughly seven centuries ago. Curious coincidence.
Gives a grin at that. Clearly.
So, if the process of whatever Sekhmet went through happened roughly 7 centuries ago, and her mother joined the guild roughly 7 centuries ago, what exactly is the timeline of events then?
I'd say that beyond reasonable doubt, that they were within that AAL. Now, precisely why, I'm beginning to doubt the paperwork that was found. Because it's a contradiction. She should not understand how that attunement center works. Unless it would have been operated after the syncing, but even then, that's a bit dubious. Because that implies that the center would still be working.
Yes, even the fact that we found a functioning AAL chamber in the AAL we went to now just feels like fate, honestly. The syncing did a number on any and all AALs.
Though, what really is curious is within the papers that you found, there was no mention of her mother amongst the test subjects.
That is another very curious aspect of it, yes. I thought about that myself. And the two clearly recognize each other. Plus, she's, well, according to Chinami, I did a little poking around. How long do Sun Elves live, Olivine?
On average, they live about 1,300 years.
Well, our spry young motherly lady is over 2,000 years old. And she doesn't look damn near older than 20.
She then crosses her arms again. I have a sneaking suspicion that Sekhmet was not a normal test subject.
She definitely seems to have been a VIP of some sort.
In fact, I would go even as far to suspect that maybe it's possible that a Hapset suit wasn't a test subject and wasn't there by force.
She was a.
This catches Quinn's attention. What are you
It could
implying?
be that she was a researcher for the Epideminos, which would then mean that her daughter was a product of what the other test subjects had been to. Effectively, think of her as a beta test of something, so to speak, that came as the result of the alpha testing of actual test subjects.
So Sekhmet was basically put through something that was then used as a baseline for whatever else was to come.
Yes, though the fact that they were still in there makes me suspect that this was just before the sinking, as in they had not an opportunity to leave. Because you made mention that out of all the test subjects, there was one mark on Sekhmet that wasn't there on any of the others, correct?
Yes, the red mark.
I suspect that that's because she wasn't a normal test subject, as in she was not confined there.
But instead a beta test, able to what? Instead to roam freely, and well, be treated with special care.
Which implies that she was probably a daughter of a researcher. At least, that's what I'd put my money on. Which means Hapsetsuit is not necessarily a victim. She kind of gives you a serious look at that.
She would have been one of the abusers in that case.
Which would explain why she was able to escape with Sekhmet. Which makes me suspect, are there any other survivors?
Not that we know of, no.
Would Luan had noticed that Sekhmet was seemingly happy to meet with her mother?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because Sekhmet was right there.
Yeah, essentially, the looks they gave each other and the smiles and whatnot, there's definitely a good relationship there. Which implies that whatever happened to Sekhmet was not done forcefully. Otherwise, she'd kind of hate her mother.
Well, this certainly gives a new perspective to things, and it's also a pretty deranged version of take your daughter to work day.
Olivine actually kind of gives a laugh at that, like a humorous laugh. I think that might be more accurate than it should be. She then kind of like offers a grin.
Quinn pours another cup of tea that he's like worked through, and just gives like a sigh with a smile. Wouldn't you know it?
She then crosses her arms. I think you and I should have a little conversation with this upset suit before we leave, as I believe we'll be doing tomorrow morning. As we'll have no reason to remain within the city any longer than we need to be. So before we leave, I think that should be one thing to address.
We can head out after the meeting. I have her link stone. I can contact her now if you'd like.
Actually, that's probably a good idea. That way also we can relay any information based off of the meeting that we have. So effectively, two birds with one stone.
Yeah. Meet me outside. In that case, meet me outside of town after the meeting. We'll go through the mines.
Not that she gives a nod.
And he would then take out the link stone and try and reach Hupset.
Alright, so... And that is where we'll end this, because you can effectively do that as a text.
Alrighty.
Yep.
Well, that's convenient.
Olivine then kind of looks to you. In the meantime, I shall prepare for the meeting as... She, like, pauses. It's about an hour from now. She just kind of then grins. I haven't eaten yet, so... I'll
Well,
probably
she has.
get Catherine to get some food.
Yeah, she's eaten dessert, in fairness.
Yeah. Yeah, I did eat earlier, but I also had to consume my mental faculties to deal with the world's clumsiest spider, but I'll see what I can do. Well, see you
She
at the meeting
commented
then.
that.
Yeah.
Who? She just like stops like mid step.
Like, do you remember having seen the blue-haired, blue-garbed?
Olivine wasn't there.
Oh, she wasn't?
Nope. That was effectively the only ones that were there when, she showed up. You all showed up was Adelheid, Confidence, and Isimos.
You'll see her at the meeting, but she's an ally that we made.
She kind of pauses. Curious. Well, I guess I'll just have to see. She
Yes.
then kind of gives a small curt wave before then heading out the door.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we'll end that here.
Yeah. That's when you become there next time.